This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The Trippers, the Grasshoppers, the Hip Ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Racial consultant standing by. We'll take caller 9844999 Ola, and you'll play Profile This in minutes. And we do have your headlines on the way 1 hour from now. First, quick check into Mike Hawk for some of the stories and headlines he is not working on.
All right, a column in the San Diego Union Tribune newspaper called Dogs Parasites, based on the theory that they only pretend they like us to get food. Mm-hmm. It's safe to say that pretty much all of the responses on Twitter have strongly and angrily disagreed.
You know, I giggled about it because, like, come on, man. Who cares what the guy says? And he based this, so I guess he based this on something he read like 19 years ago, right? And they did the scientific study, and essentially what they came up with was just that, look, dogs pretend they like you because they realize you're a source for food, all right? And it's right. I don't necessarily agree with that. Doesn't matter. But that's what the guy was quoting. But people freaked out.
Do you ever have
But no one argues that with cats.
Do you ever date somebody or go out with somebody who cooks for you?
Sure.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it's like, anything, anybody. I mean, like your mom, anybody, whoever cooks for you. I mean, like, this is great.
Like, they did the scientific study. What dogs are like a complete experiment in eugenics, so they've basically been bred to like you anyway.
Right.
And it's like, yes, they love it when you feed them, but you notice your dog's kind of your pal no matter what.
And at the end of the day, if they are technically a parasite, does that change how you feel about them?
Well, they're saying change how they feel about you, but they're a pack animal.
You're the one picking up their. You're the one picking up their poop.
Exactly.
I mean,
see, I think part of the genesis for this, and like, look, I love dogs. It's just right now, it's just dog heavy. And maybe different cities, but I know in Seattle, like wherever you go, there's always dogs.
There's always dogs.
Yeah.
Man.
So I mean, I think that guy was just trying to get a rise out of people.
He obviously. I mean, people got so upset and said, "You really think that this is what the guy thinks?" Come on.
A 41-year-old man near L.A. caused 2 car crashes. Then he ran into a nearby business, grabbed an employee, forced him outside, and tried to turn him in for it.
This guy's nuts.
How did he think this? Did he think like the employee's going to say, "Yeah, I did this"?
He told police, "Here, I caught the driver of that car for you." But it didn't work. What do you know? And now he's also facing kidnapping charges because... Really? Kidnapping charges?
If you force someone to do something against their will, that's...
I mean, even if...
Hell, I actually kidnapped someone, never got charged. This guy...
But even if you could convince that guy
to lie
tell
for you.
Right, but there's no chance through the whole booking process he's going to stick with the lie.
No.
Like, once he leaves you and the fear of you hurting him's over, like... Hey, this isn't like somebody you know being like, all right, I'll take the charge.
I'll take the fall for you.
I think he was... I don't think he thought that far, Ted. I think he wanted him to get arrested, and then he would just bail out.
Leave town?
That's right.
You're right.
Just
he strikes me as the guy who's dumb enough that even if this had carried through to a court trial, he's the guy that would show up in court and see how it went.
The other dude confessed.
Right.
You said it. A man near Tampa had a massive heart attack last weekend while laying a bunch of sod in his front yard. But first responders saved his life, got him to a hospital, and then went back and finished the job for him.
I would like to roll out some grass. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, that's what the guy, I guess, was having a real hard time with the heart attack, but he kept, like, saying,
he didn't want to leave.
Right. He was like, we got to get this done. So then the firemen felt so bad, they went back and did the sobbing.
He came back, though, and said, like, they did it all wrong.
Okay, because I was going to say, man, there's no way the doctor said after a heart attack, please go back to this strenuous...
Here's the thing. He had a heart attack, and he kept working.
Right, he worked through the heart attack.
And then, for some reason, I guess he got to the point where he couldn't do it anymore. He called 911, and they said, well, when did this happen? He said, like, it happened 15, 20 minutes ago. And they said, well, why didn't you call right away? And he said, because I wanted to get this job done. And they're like, hey, man, like, no, you're having a heart attack. You know, like, we need to take you in right now.
This tells me that this is the only sunny day in a long time in a very rainy area. Well, if I don't get this done now, it is not getting done for another 3 weeks.
You got to water it, make sure it takes.
Yeah.
You know, like,
but think about it. It's also the time of the year that he ordered the sod late, right? Like, look, if you order sod in the winter, let's face it, best time, it'll be cheap.
Yep.
So you got it late. I'm sure his yard looked like crap, and he's like, God damn, I want a green goddamn yard. Heart be damned.
The average American eats about 20 to 30 pounds of French fries every year, which means we have a medium-sized serving of fries approximately every 3 to 5 days.
That sounds about right. Actually.
Some people got to be up in that.
Look,
I mean,
it's an average, right? But let's face it. If you go to any restaurant, if it's not super fancy, it's fries. And when they give you the option, you want soup, salad, or fries, I'm like, don't ever ask me that offensive question again, but fries.
But even some high-end places, man, their fries are delicious.
Oh, duck fat fries and all this stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
duck
but
fat fries.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't eat a lot of French. I love French fries. I just can't eat a bunch of them. But like, I don't eat fries.
You know, to be honest,
that's what I was like. Who's eating fries 3 times a week?
I don't eat a ton, but if the kids go out to dinner, then inevitably whatever they get comes to fries, and I end up eating about half of each of theirs.
Fries are delicious.
I think it might be National French Fry Day.
It might be, Ted.
I've heard mac and cheese, French fry. I want to say it's like 7 different days today. I'm like, so which day is it?
Right.
What card do I send to loved ones?
Sounds like Stoner Day.
I know.
It's mac and cheese, French fries, and grilled cheese.
Well, it's a repeat, so it don't
Pizza
matter.
pockets.
According to a new survey, real quick, how many of you in here have eaten an entire pint of ice cream in one sitting?
A pint?
Yeah.
Is that a Ben and Jerry size?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All of us? Have you?
Probably have. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, at least within 24 hours.
40% of people have eaten eaten an entire pint in one sitting.
And 100% of that 40% were alone.
Yes.
It's like eating the whole piece. If there's other people, you're like, oh, I'm going to put this away. And all you can think about is, I want to finish.
You know what flavor it
Unless
was?
they have their own pint of ice cream. as
Oh,
well.
then it's agreed.
What was the flavor that you knocked down?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Vanilla.
If it was Ben & Jerry's, it was that cinnamon roll.
Okay.
Cinnamon
All
roll.
right.
I love it. Either that or a cookies and cream.
I'm a salted caramel guy. There you go.
Half-baked.
There you go.
See, but those are harder to knock out the whole thing because they're
rich.
Miles, you just got to put in some effort, son.
All right, okay.
Do you want this? Do you want this pint?
He was watching a Nike ad. Just do it.
Keeping going with that ice cream study, 9% have cried while they were eating ice cream.
Oh,
Christ.
no.
That's got to be after like a breakup.
Right.
Yeah,
I hope.
totally, Ted. Just a breakup. 7% of people have canceled plans to stay at home and eat it.
Wow.
I'm in that 7%.
No, what were you invited to? I mean, if it's a baby shower, sure, I'm going to eat
It was
ice cream.
just something like people getting together on a Sunday, and it was just like, I'd rather sit at home and eat ice cream on a Sunday evening.
How
You
much
turned
were
down
you
your
looking
friends for ice cream.
How much were you looking forward to that pint of ice cream? How much was that on your brain?
It had been on my brain for 6 days.
All right.
Brother, if you turn down an invite to a party of friends, like, I'm eating this ice cream.
You were staring mentally at that ice cream in the freezer. You know exactly where you're going with it.
Dude, like yesterday, I was at the grocery store yesterday. I didn't buy any ice cream. But you bet your ass. I walked up and down and went, oh, that's the new flavor. That's the one Mike was talking about.
Yeah.
You do have a weird, and you can bring up like any new food product, right? Because the thing is, you're eating like chicken and rice and all the healthy stuff. But if you bring up any fast food, anything at the grocery store, Ted's like, oh, that, yeah, man, they got so-and-so. Have you eaten it? Nope.
And I have another terrible habit of looking in other people's carts. Like yesterday, I was like, oh, nice.
Dude, you're really weird with this.
You know how weird that is?
If you invite Ted to your home, and it's just what he does, he will be in your fridge, not to eat anything, but he will scope out.
Let's see what you got going.
If you have any, what I like is, if Ted has any questions,
He'll just ask.
So, what
Yeah, so what are you eating over there?
Why do you get this
What are you
kind
munching
of
on?
24
I ask all the time.
24/7 Wall Street ranked the 50 biggest product flops of all time, and Google Glass is Google Glass is number one.
I forgot about that.
There's some really good
That's
forgettable
why.
things on
Was
there.
Clear Pepsi on there?
Yes, it was top 10.
I'm not working on it.
I was, so I can
Thank
tell you
you,
it
Mike.
is.
Got you, man.
I thought Google Glass was going to be a thing. What was the whole thing? Where you put it on and like you see pop-ups of whatever?
You get
Smart
identifying
glasses.
things like
Yeah, that's not exciting enough,
Right, maybe
man.
it would identify a building. If you looked at it, it would say Empire State Building.
When it do things like that, bitch is crazy.
No, but I think
With
if
the
it, like,
face
if it
recognition.
looked at me, I think on your screen it could pull up like my Facebook and this and that.
Oh,
you
gee,
know,
no,
like-
I don't want that.
Yeah, it was creepy, man.
Yeah, that is
A new survey
No
found
one would use that for anything good.
A new survey found millennials are more likely to post deceptive photos that make their vacation seem better than it was just to make their friends jealous.
That is not on millennials. Everybody does that.
Everybody does that.
Don't blame
Everybody
them.
does it. Everyone's always done it. The only difference about the millennials have one super disadvantage. You are the first generation where technology's everything.
Yes.
So everything you do, everyone gets mad at you. But listen, all it is a different way of doing what we've always done.
Oh, come over and see pictures from our vacation.
They show you a slideshow, but trust me, the crappy pictures, they were taken out.
Yeah.
Here's where Smitty yelled at the grandkids.
Right. It's not there.
A woman in Georgia left the windows on her van open while visiting a patient and came back to find an unexpected passenger.
What was that?
I'll tell you all about it 1 hour from now.
Thank you, Mike Hawk. Headlines are on the way 1 hour from now, but first, the game is...
The Men's Room presents Profile
And
This.
Stephen Throwhill, could you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
Well, I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes the story a story. Hello, Sarah. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola. Hola.
Hola. All right, Sarah, you understand how this year game is played?
I do.
Fantastic. Mike Hawk touched on this story only moments ago, but worth revisiting. A 41-year-old man responsible for 2 hit-and-run crashes in Santa Ana, California. It left 4 people seriously injured. Mike didn't bring that part up because he really was not working on it. But he crashed into one car. Then he started chasing someone who witnessed it and caused an even worse crash that involved 2 other cars and a guy on a bike. Luckily, no one was killed. But then after the second crash, the guy ran into the nearby ice cream distributor, speaking of ice cream, grabbed the random employee, and forced the guy outside as the cops were arriving, tried to get him to say that he was the one driving. As you might imagine, the guy really was not going to say that. And as Mike said, the guy literally said, "Here, I caught the driver of that car for you." Turns out this guy was on drugs, so they booked him for driving under the influence, resisting arrest, kidnapping, and felony hit and run. My question is, do you believe that this genius is black, white, Mexi, or Asian?
Oh, man. That's a hot mess express.
That is a hot mess.
I like that term. I'm going to use that.
Hot mess express?
Yeah.
Beep, beep.
Did they say what drug it was?
It did not say what drug it was. It just said he was on drugs.
And he stayed around to tell the cops, hey, this is the dude.
So again, he hits a car. Somebody witnessed it. He's trying to drive that person down, causes the worst crash, hits a guy on a bike, runs into the ice cream parlor, as they call it, grabs a guy named, this poor dude, what the hell's his name? Oh, okay. Iglesias Morales. This poor dude's just trying to serve up some ice cream. Here's Iglesias trying to, I didn't do this. But they do not say what kind of drugs he was on.
I'm going to profile Southern California. Let's go Mexi.
Gonna go Mexi. Final answer, Sarah?
I'm going to say it's my final answer.
All right, we're going to find out if he was black, white, Mexican, or Asian next.
That was a tease.
You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, profile this. Takes us to Los Angeles, California, and we have a 41-year-old man who caused 2 car crashes. Then he ran into a nearby business. He grabbed an employee. He forced that employee outside, and then he tried to turn him in for what he did.
Turns out it didn't work, and while the cops weren't detectives, they managed to piece that together without a lot of investigation. But Sarah, we asked you, did you believe this guy was black, white, Mexi, or Asian? You said like in Southern California. I'm going to hazard a guess and say Mexi. Oh, sorry.
Black?
White.
White.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. What about the what?
Blame somebody else for your problems.
I was just saying he was at an ice cream parlor.
Now, for all TV news all the time, it's time for TV Time with Tim.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box,
Armageddon.
The Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
So there's a shop called Build-A-Bear. Yeah. I'll be dead honest with you. I have not been in a mall in a long time outside of eating at the establishment that is Rainforest Cafe. Mm-hmm. So I was not positive the Build-A-Bears were still a thing. I think once I went to a Build-A-Bear, and you know why I went, because DB was building one for his girlfriend.
I've had birthday parties for my kids there.
Oh, no, kid. You can have a birthday party at a Build-A-Bear?
Dude, Build-A-Bear's not stupid.
Is this like the American Girl store where they serve food and stuff?
No, it's not quite that deep, and they don't charge as much, but it's a great idea because it's a kid. They can build their own bear, right? And so they learn how to do it. And obviously, you can do birthday parties.
And they give them a little bit of a deal depending on how many people you have. And you bring your own stuff. So if you want to bring in a cake, you bring in your own cake. They'll provide a little table where you can sit down and eat. You can bring your own drinks in. They don't serve any food, but you're allowed to bring in a couple things, bag of chips, and have a little party.
I feel like
at least they were back in the day.
I feel like there should be a shady guy out front, like, Build-A-Bear, huh? I got real bears.
Mm-hmm. What's crazy is Build-A-Bear, so you have...
And their kid, you want a real bear?
Okay,
right.
so
it's cheaper and it's real.
You know that they stuff the bear actually in the bag.
I've seen...
And you watch that happen.
I mean, they put the
foam in it. Yeah.
It's stuffing.
It's like a sock at the beginning, and they stuff the bear.
It's not foam inside of them, is it? Isn't it like stuffing?
It's stuffing, but it's a foam-based stuffing. So they put the bear together, and then there is an entire store of clothes.
Yep.
That you dress them.
That you dress this bear. And it could be fireman bear, it could be football player bear, it could be princess bear. I mean, you name it, they have got a theme for it. And kids go and they pick their theme, and then they put those clothes on, and bam, they are happy.
And kids love it.
Yeah, they do.
Of course.
So Build-A-Bear was having a promotion where basically you build the bear, and then the cost of the bear would be your age. So obviously a lot of people brought their young children.
Listen, I I read this and I thought, okay, when it comes to Build-A-Bear, I have a 7.5-year-old and 6-year-old. It would cost me $13.50. That's cheaper than any other time I could do it. If I were interested, I would do it. Nobody's getting a bear built is over the age of probably 12. So like none of the adults that showed up are building it for themselves. I'm 49. Guess what? I'm not doing this for
me. You paid $49 for a bear. No, he's lying.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, I don't think Build-A-Bear realized how excited people were going to be, and the result was chaos.
This is crazy. This is a crazy event.
You better call somebody real fast, because we're going to have a problem out here.
Because there's people that have been out here for 7 hours, and that want to get in for their babies.
I shouldn't laugh.
Uh-oh.
Those moms were pissed.
Yeah, they're pissed. Look, man, there's nothing
by the way, there's
worse.
a whole video and article about that on the Men's Room Facebook page. You want to check that out.
I guess you don't bring your 92-year-old grandmother to Build-A-Bear at that point.
It's Build-A-Bear, man. You had to know that everyone's going to bring their kids, and there's nothing worse than telling your kid something that they get excited about, and then it can't be delivered. Right? I mean, that's the whole thing. So, and the kid doesn't know
We're going to
there's
get you a bear
deal
for $5.
But they don't know that.
Right,
they just think, hey, mom's being cool. Mom shows up with these kids, man. And it's like, look, Build-A-Bear, honest to God, man. Like I said, the price is low because it's designed for children.
I'll be dead.
Everyone's going to spend, on average, less than $10 per kid.
Well, and I'm out of the loop. But even for me, it shocked me. And obviously, Build-A-Bear wasn't ready. I read somewhere they had to, close some stores. They basically just all right, we're shut down for the day. We did not expect that.
I feel bad for the employees.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not their idea, but you're still the one that takes the heat.
Well, look, I mean, you
better get somebody right now. Hey, I got told to
you bring it up all the time. You've seen it in the animal kingdom, a bunch of angry parents breathing down your neck, right?
Good.
that is not a fun time.
And they're all on the same side. Remember that. Every parent backs up the other one in this area. There's no one saying, hey, relax. They didn't get their bear either.
And some poor teenager was like, Charlie, we should have stayed at the Crocs kiosk. This never would have happened.
I told you, Sunglass Hut, not a lot of action, man, but people aren't yelling at you.
Right. People come into lids, just want hats. They're nice. They're adults.
As bad as idea as being a referee at a youth basketball game.
Depending where you do it.
Oh, man.
Baseball, you name it. Soccer.
Screamed at, chased. Right. I have been in this position. Miles, you've been in it when you're reffing anything or umpiring anything youth. It's kind of intense.
With the kids involved?
So I have a cousin that still does this to this day, right? But he does it at the grade school he went to, and there's a mean old lady that runs the gym. And that lady is so stern to this day. My mom's 74. She got yelled at by this lady.
On the way?
Yeah, because she crossed the court to say hi to somebody, and she was like, get off the court.
Oh, man.
Well, my brother first started reffing, right? So he's always been that guy, but he got out of college.
Who's now a professional ref.
And that's what's crazy. He's an official in the NFL, right? Which is great. But when he first started, he was like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing some high school reffing. And we're like, well, that's cool. Where are you thinking about doing it? And he lives in an expensive suburb outside of D.C. I'm thinking it'll be there. It's like, oh, I'm going to inner city D.C. Now, if you know my brother, he's a very mild-mannered individual. I don't think he's ever actually been in a physical fight other than me in his life. And even my parents are like, yeah, man, are you sure? He's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, by the time we moved, he was already out of high school. So I went to high school in Baltimore City, and as far as behavior goes, not much different than D.C., right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you might really want to rethink. Oh, no, I'm sure it'll be fine. So I guess you do 3 or 4 games a day, however the hell it works out. And after his first week, he's like, Jesus Christ, kids are goddamn scary. I said, I told you, man.
It's the parents.
It is.
Dude,
no, it's not the parents.
Miles, you got to understand.
Inner city, it's the students.
Yeah, there was years that you couldn't. there was no Friday night lights in D.C. because there's too many fights.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The parents are not the problem there, man.
Thrill, you were kind of talking about this earlier today before the show.
Before you made me stop?
Yes. Star Wars and Star Trek are two different things.
Yes, they are.
Both nerdy, but two different things.
Different kinds of nerds, though.
Yes. And if you mess with the Trekkie, and you just don't want to screw them up. So Zachary Quinto from Star Trek was on Good Morning America with George Snuffleupagus.
There you go. You got it. Yeah. Snuffleupagus.
Nailed it.
And George got it confused. Zachary corrected him.
No, he did.
I'm here now with Zachary Quinto. You know him as Spock from Star Wars. Now he's
Trek, George.
Star Trek.
Trek.
Oh my gosh. I I am going to get so much hate mail on Twitter. It's going to be so bad. Can you absolve me right now?
I am out of this.
Well, we got our Bible.
It's an honest mistake. It's an honest mistake.
I don't think it is. George screwed the pooch on that one, man.
I think it was an honest mistake.
I mean, it's Spock. I don't know. I don't know that I've ever watched Star Trek. I know he's from Spock is from Star Trek.
The only person I know that intentionally messes it up to piss people off is you, Ted. Right? And that's like your go-to. But I think he honestly flubbed.
Yeah.
Like, you do it because you like to antagonize people and you laugh about it. George Snuffleupagus there, like, that's not his deal. I think he effed up.
His name.
I know, it doesn't matter. He's George Snuffleupagus now. He's going to get the hate. But what's funny is, and what we've discovered here, like, you can mess with sports teams, people are just like, F you, and then they tell you they hope your team goes down. It's nice give and take. With these Star Trek, Star Wars people, it is paragraphs.
And Star Wars is, like, mainstream. I feel like Trekkies are kind of still out there on the fringe a little bit.
You got to realize how intense this
Only because Star Wars is back heavy now.
And it's to the point where people are getting angry. They're getting mad. Hell, I mean, Jar Jar Binks talks about death threats that he got.
Yeah, the actor.
And he was in a Star Wars movie that wasn't the most popular, and he's the least most popular character in all of Star Wars. But
he's like,
it's thought of so seriously that he honestly got death threats. And he talks about it.
Bugged him.
Depression, suicidal thoughts, all this
Keep
stuff.
in mind, an actor's point of view of things is, they gave me a script. The director directed me. They wrote the story. I was trying to execute the character they have.
That they wanted.
And in the end, they're mad at me. But they threatened to kill the guy.
It's like
who would threaten to kill someone?
It's like I served a hamburger, and now for somebody else that they wanted me to give to him, and now my ass is on the line.
Right? Yeah. I was like, damn, man.
Just give this hamburger to that guy over there. Okay.
But that tells you how much people hate Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, that's intense.
Mm-hmm. That's a bit much, I think.
Yeah, it's very important.
I will kill you for playing that role. Like, bro, I'm just getting a paycheck.
Yeah, and I don't know. You got to go to a movie theater to see Star Wars. Trek was available. It was on TV.
It was. Still is.
Yeah.
Somehow there's always a series somewhere. Well, they had a heyday for us, so they did Star Trek for 3, the original one, disappears forever long. They come back with Star Trek The Next Generation. That did very well. Then they did 2 or 3 spinoffs from that, and that was their heyday. Then it kind of faded away. And I know there's some online or streaming service, they have a new series or something. But yeah, it had a massive heyday, and so you ended up with a lot of Trekkies that weren't even Trekkies before The Next Generation.
And Spock is I mean, I know Leonard Nimoy was Spock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's a big one. Can't mess up the Trekkies.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Darth Vader from The Story That Never Ends. Like, what? Come on, man.
Let's see. Unfortunately, we've talked a lot about this kind of stuff going on right now with people getting, rightfully so, getting called out. But Kevin Spacey obviously was fired from House of Cards. So finally, his co-star, Robin Wright, she finally was on the Today Show, and they kind of asked her, like, hey, did you see any of this stuff with Kevin Spacey? And she's like, no. Like, we were coworkers, really. Yeah. And you'd have to think, if Kevin Spacey, number one, was a closeted homosexual for years, and then number two, was like a predator on people, like, I doubt he invited out the co-stars to go kick it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would imagine he probably did a lot of this sleazy stuff on his own. But I don't blame her. Like, she's like, look, we worked together in between takes. We had some laughs, but, like, basically, it was a job.
Yeah.
We showed up and did it.
It's kind of weird that these people have just gone away. Not weird. Just how society works and what they did. But the idea of, where's Matt Lauer? Like, where in the world is Matt Lauer? Do you remember that segment? Like, that could really be a segment now. Somebody just goes and tries to find
I think the answer is going to be divorce court.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. There were so many when this initially started, and you realize that they've just, they've dropped off. Rightfully so. PR guy says, hey, man, go away. Go away. We'll see you next year.
Well, it's going to be hard to get a gig.
Right.
Please,
totally,
let me hire you.
Totally. And I doubt it's going to. I'll be curious to see how they try to spin this back around if any of those people ever come back. Because you know how everything else goes over time,
I mean, there's not.
Yeah, I think it's.
I think the best they could do is stay behind the camera and maybe write some stuff or produce some, but nobody's going to put them in front of the camera. It's just not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, this will sound horrible, but sadly, like, Paula Deen could go away and come back because she used a racial epithet. Mm-hmm. She went away long enough, people forgave her. But
being a predator is a little different.
Right, everybody agrees predators suck.
Right.
And frankly, in this country, nobody seems to like black people, so it's okay.
Times
but she
are
wasn't
changing.
going around like just beating black. You know what I mean? Like she said what she said. I can't believe anyone was surprised. I'm like, a fat woman that eats butter. Like, come on, man. You had to know. It can't be that big of a surprise, you know? But when you're a predator, it is something entirely
You mean the
different.
Duck Dynasty people are racist? Get out of here.
That one caught me off guard.
No, it didn't.
I wanted to believe it. A lot, obviously, this day and age, you can't go anywhere without politics.
Oh, of course.
Jim Jeffries. I spelt it wrong there, Mike. I think I spelled it Jim Jeffers. But Jim Jeffries, very funny comedian. He's got a show, and he was talking about, and I think he's got a good idea here. For
There are actually almost...
who should be the new Supreme Court justice?
There are actually almost no qualifications for a justice. The president can nominate pretty much anyone. They don't even have to hold a law degree or be born in the U.S.
It's good to know I'll have a job after this show's cancelled. No qualifications to be a justice. Trump could nominate anyone. He could just have Justice Blake Shelton, a mediocre, average-looking singer who, despite having gout, was named sexiest man alive and is dating Gwen Stefani. The living embodiment of the fact that there is no justice in the world could be a justice.
What he said, in spite of having the gout.
He's been alive. I want to hit home a little bit, but
God damn.
Right? And he's dating Gwen Stefani.
I didn't realize I figured you'd at least had to be an attorney at some level.
I'll be dead honest, until I heard him say that on the show, I did not know that either.
I didn't either.
I guess it's just an assumption because you call them judges.
But I think judges, even on a local level, are just appointed positions.
Sometimes like a magistrate is elected in a lot of places, so yeah.
I just don't know the pecking order of things. You know what I mean? Is it a judge? Is it a magistrate? Do you have to have been a lawyer to become a judge? That was
Seems
always
like all of them are somehow intertwined. They know the system.
Yeah.
And some states are different.
Okay.
Right, because Louisiana, is Louisiana still guilty before proven innocent? Because they use a different kind of law? They used to.
I just know when I went in front of a magistrate when I was a kid, it was like, someone you knew in there, like, get out of here, be better.
You know what that tells you about
Just
Louisiana?
on a higher level of debauchery.
Everybody, man, we know your ass is guilty. We're going to give you time to come up with some good enough excuse. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like going to court in the neighborhood you grew up in, right? Something goes down, somebody's house gets egged. Like, one of the four people involved, and you're guilty before proven innocent.
You probably didn't think Stormy Daniels somehow could help out the state of Florida, but Kimmel explains it.
Stormy Daniels had a brush with the law last night. She was arrested at a strip club in Columbus because she allegedly touched a customer who turned out to be an undercover police officer. Under Ohio state law, an employee who appears nude or semi-nude is prohibited from touching patrons on the premises of a sexually oriented business unless it's a family member. That's the law. And just like that, the state of Ohio shoots past Florida in the race for creepiest state.
Ohio is kind of the Florida of the Midwest.
It's North Florida.
It really is.
It really
North
is.
Florida.
It is. Crazy wild animals everywhere.
Crazy
people everywhere.
And they're going to operate the way they operate.
Oh, yeah.
Right, good college football.
Partying. Ohio. What was, let's see here, what do we got here? Mike's got your headlines coming up in a minute. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go to Lone Star State, where a dispute over reserved seats in a Purge movie leads to a stabbing. Meanwhile, drunk Florida man attacks minion on boardwalk while incoherently blabbing. Former reality star turned prostitute steals John's credit card and goes on a spree. In Kazakhstan, a 40-foot tall squirrel is too big to climb a tree, and a plane plunges 21,000 feet while the pilot vapes. It is time for your headlines.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's Mike Hawk.
You're right over there, Ted.
Oh, wow, there, Mike.
Is it? Damn, my bad. I'm working. Oh, shoot. I need to get that one out, too. I'm doing great back
Things
here.
are crazy.
Best in the business. Best in the business.
That's right. I got 9 hands. Only using one. Top story that we go to Georgia, where a nurse left the windows on her car open while checking in on a patient at their lake house. When she left the home to go back to her car, she found that a black bear had made its way into the van.
Oh.
A black bear.
Uh-huh. You know what you do at that point? You let the black bear have the van.
That's right. The bear had smelled the lunch that she had packed for the day and made his way inside, ate the lunch, and started to explore around the van, checking it out.
Now, where did this happen?
This happened in Georgia.
Georgia. I didn't realize Georgia had a bear thing.
Right? Oh, shoot. I don't even have a
I mean, I would think if I'm in Alaska, I'd be like, yeah, close the window. But I feel like in Georgia, I'm all right.
Oh, there's woods in Georgia.
I know. I just don't think bears in Georgia.
Them Georgia bears.
Miles will attest to this. Like, if there's mountains, woods, there's bears.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
right.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And now coyotes everywhere.
She tried setting up the car alarm and banging pots and pans together to try to scare the bear out of the van, but to no avail. The animal did eventually do what it does and gets bored and made its way out of the van and back into the woods.
To me, that's the strategy. Like, on a check in about an hour.
Right. Or keep an eye on it to make sure that it's not just curled up where you can't see it when you check back in an hour. You imagine getting back into your car thinking, okay, bear's gone, and then you take off, and now there's a pissed off black bear.
I've heard of a story. It was not a bear. A guy stole, oh, man. I think he actually stole a cop car, but he didn't realize it was a canine car.
Okay.
So dude jumps in.
Oh, no.
Oh, it did not take long. Oh, no, this is what it was. Something bad was happening to this woman. The cops get there. She managed to escape what her problem was, but to get away from whatever else was going on, she ran to the cop car for safety. Didn't realize, jumped in, and this dog saw her.
No.
Yeah, that's what made it worse. Yeah.
Woof. In other news, in Daytona Beach, Florida, a man was walking along the boardwalk, got himself into a fight with a minion.
That's the yellow minions.
Correct.
A minion.
Outside a place called Jungle George's on the boardwalk.
That sounds great until someone punches a minion.
That's right. What are you
Sounds
doing?
like the kind of place you pound down like 5 Mai Tais and then punch a minion.
And then punch a minion.
What do you do on a Saturday night? You go out and you punch a minion. It's a place called Jungle George's.
Punch the minion? We got to start using that.
I know. I was thinking.
Punching the minion. Jungle George is out on the boardwalk. There's someone actually dressed as one of the minions from Despicable Me franchise. This evidently angered the man because he began to mess with and harass the minion. It escalated to the point that the man actually slammed the minion on the ground and began to mercilessly kick and beat the mascot.
Come on, man.
I don't know why. He's a mascot. He's in a costume. He can't talk back. So how did this get so out of hand?
You don't get paid enough to wear a mascot outfit to get your ass kicked.
No.
You know
I have
what
a feeling he's one of those guys who poses for pictures, and gets paid.
Oh, I'm sure, but you're there to make people happy.
Sure,
make
the kids love it.
You end up getting your ass kicked.
The man was arrested, but the minion is not pressing charges. The costume, however, is destroyed.
Minion's not
pressing charges, probably because they couldn't understand him.
Yeah.
It's actually a combination of like 4 or 5 different languages.
I don't know who does that, so they do a brilliant job.
They do, man. The residents of Kazakhstan are split on their opinion of a new attraction that has been put up in an art festival. The attraction in question is a 40-foot sculpture of a squirrel that is made of a steel frame, wood, and straw. The controversy comes from being paid with the equivalent of 67,000 American dollars of public funds, and a lot of people are calling it a fire hazard, while others like to look at the squirrel, that their kids enjoy looking at the sculpture. The squirrel is expected to be in the area for the next 9 months before moving to a different area. That is, in case, somebody doesn't just...
I'm going to tell you what Kazakhstan's problem is. The fact that a 40-foot tall sculpture of a squirrel is called an attraction.
I like it.
That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah. No, I saw it.
This thing's huge.
It's nice.
God damn!
It really is well done, man.
It's the last time we've heard. It's the last time we've heard about Kazakhstan since Borat. So I think they needed to get back in the spotlight.
Now that I'm looking at it, I like it.
That's how you know that drugs are not going to be done there for a while, because that's going to freak some people out, man.
Yeah. Just in time for Sasha to come back on Showtime. Here you go.
An Air China flight scared the living daylights out of passengers when a plane suddenly dropped thousands of feet during the flight. Oxygen masks were deployed during the drop, and passengers demanded to know why the plane has dropped as they made their way back up to 25,000 feet. Turns out that one of the pilots used his vape pen during the flight, which they're not supposed to do, and hit the wrong switches to try to keep the vapors from spreading into the cabin. The wrong switches caused a drop in cabin pressure, which forced the drop in altitude. The airline apologized profusely, and the passengers will adopt a zero-tolerance policy on the subject.
Lie about that.
Right? Yes, that's it for your headlines with that. Mike Hawk is out.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time for Your Guess Is As Good As Mine. A random question. The return of the word and men's room rules.
Yes, indeed. It is all true, but in the meantime, we be all about that. So until next time, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.